All right, everybody, we're here today with Aarvoll. I think I'm saying your name right there, right? Aarvoll?
Yeah, close
Yeah.
enough.
Okay. And yeah, I'll just get you to give yourself like a brief little intro as to, like who you are and what you do, just in case people are unfamiliar with you.
Sure. Yeah, my actual name is Eric Aarvoll. Aarvoll is the Norwegian spelling of my last name. I
Mm.
used it as a pseudonym a few years ago when censorship was a lot worse. But that's how people know me. So that's the screen name on X. I'm the president of the Return to the Land Association that exists for people of European heritage who want to create intentional communities
Mhm.
to preserve that heritage.
Yeah. And I saw that you like started like a white only community that like disregard like you can't if you're black you can't join, if you're gay you can't join, and if you're like Jewish you can't join either. Like what's like the whole kind of like meaning behind that?
Well, it's a European heritage thing.
Yeah.
So we value our European heritage both in terms of our ancestry and like who we are as people, but also our culture and traditions and so forth. So a lot of us like traditional Western music, architecture, literature, and that's what we want to pass on to our kids.
Yeah. And, like, what would you say the point of that is, though, like, making it, like, all white only? Like, I'm sure you've probably got, like, a lot of, like, pushback for doing that, of course. And, like, even somebody like me, I'm not, like, sure. I'm like, why would he, like, wanna, like, disclude other people? Like, I think there's, like, a lot of, like, good in, like, these other people too, but, like, I'm curious, like, what your whole reasoning is behind that.
Well, sure. I don't think other groups of people are bad. And I think that if people want to mix together and have mixed societies, they can do that. That's their choice. But if you don't exclude anything, then you aren't defining any particular identity.
Mm,
Like you have no control over what your community will become if just anyone can come in. Like our
yeah.
cells have semi permeable membranes. We let certain things in and not others. Because if
Mhm.
you just let everything in, again, there's no real identity there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you should be allowed to do that too, because like I don't know, I feel like there's other cultures that have like their specific things. So I don't see necessarily a huge problem with it. But like, what's the backlash like? Like, I'm sure you've probably got like a lot of angry people that are like, "Oh, you can't do this. It's illegal." I mean, I'm pretty sure it is fully legal. Like, what have you had like a lot of like backlash and like outrage about this?
Yeah, of course. Mostly from hit pieces.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, it was actually r/Jewish on Reddit that like picked up the story and
I
tried
think
to
I
get
saw
us in
that when I was
trouble.
doing research on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and then like the forward, this Jewish newspaper was the first mainstream press that covered us. And now I don't even know how many articles have been written and episodes and things. So we've gotten a lot of attention. A lot of it is positive. So our membership has gone way up. We've gotten a lot of new applicants as a result of the attention. People have made complaints to various government departments trying to harass us, trying to get us shut down. Currently, we've not been fined or sued. We do expect that to happen, but what we're doing
Right.
is an exercise in free association. I think it's worth standing up for our right to do this.
Yeah. And, like, would you say it is, like, racist to, like, exclude other people and say that you can't come? Because 'Cause I'm sure you probably get called that a lot, and it's kinda just, like, a word that doesn't mean anything nowadays, like, the word racist
That's how I
thrown
feel.
around. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate other groups of people. In
Right.
fact, I want what's best for them. I just happen to believe that what's best for each particular ethnic and racial group is to embrace its own unique tradition. I
Mhm.
think going way outside of that is a little bit risky. It's like all of our ancestors, respectively, maintained these certain ways of life and norms, and they intermarried with each other.
Yeah.
That's how it was our European ancestors. If you're Black American, they have their own unique tradition. I don't think groups should just drop that. I think something's lost
Yeah.
if you don't try to maintain your own tradition.
So do you think that's, like, an issue today with, like because you see now, like, basically all cultures are, like, mixed, you got, like, people of all races in every culture nowadays, especially in the States, especially in Canada. Well, especially in Canada. Canada's basically turning into India now. But, would you say, like, that's, like, an issue in your opinion? Because for me, it's, like, not a huge issue, like, I think there's a lot of black people that are chill, a lot of Indians are chill, so I see it as, like, not, like, being a huge problem, but obviously you probably see it as more of a problem than me, and, like, why would you say that you see it as more of a problem?
When you're judging it as an individual, it doesn't have to be a problem, especially if you're successful and affluent, because then the kinds of people that you meet of other races will be high quality people.
True.
But if you are not affluent, then the average person you meet of other communities, there might be a substantial difference. There are differences in rates of violent crime. If you grow up unwillingly in a low income Black neighborhood, you will probably run into issues as a white guy.
But
That's
when
been
you
the
say that's
experience of
like,
many people growing up in those communities.
yeah, when you say it's like every like low income area, because there's like sketchy like white low income areas where like the dad isn't
There
in the
are,
house. Like there could be really sketchy white people. Like all like the gang members
right.
I know in my city, most of them have been like white.
Yeah, there are bad people of every race,
Yeah,
and there are good people of every race, but the rates of criminality are different. The average IQs between the races are different. People are just different.
true.
And if you look conspicuously different and you are kind of thrust, like many low income white people are, in unwillingly into a multicultural environment, sometimes you'll get victimized.
Yeah,
I know people who have been bullied or assaulted because they're white in a majority minority area. It does happen. So
yeah,
social trust also goes down. And if you just look at like the arc of the country, we became the world's most powerful economy and military power when we were super majority white with an unquestionably white European culture. That's when
yeah,
we became strong. Since that has declined, our relative power has declined. So
yeah.
it's really hard for me to see the argument that diversity or immigration from non-Western countries has made us stronger. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like it to me.
You could say that the racism could go like both ways though. Like it could be against blacks, it could also be against whites. Like people say, "Oh, you can't be racist against white people." You definitely can. Like a lot of blacks
I
are like,
think
"Oh, it's
so, for sure.
impossible to be racist against white people." Racism is judging somebody off their skin color. So obviously you could be racist against all people. But I feel like it's gone both ways. Like there's been a lot of black people that have probably been marginalized for being black, especially in the past. So I don't know, from like my point of view, kind of looks like it does kind of go both ways. And I don't know, I feel like it's more of like a societal problem. Like, do you think it's possible to fix that problem without necessarily like splitting off from them and making your own communities? Like, do you think it's possible for everybody to coexist in peace, or do you think that's like too far out of the question?
If people are allowed to segregate voluntarily and people are allowed to mix voluntarily, I think we can get along. But what we have currently is basically forced integration, where
Yeah,
employers and communities are forced to take people who are not of their traditional background into their communities, and that causes friction. You have people who don't speak the language, who you don't really have anything in common with. People don't talk to their neighbors. It's just not a natural condition. It is a social experiment, and I'm uncomfortable with a mass social experiment being run simultaneously in
yeah,
every Western country where if it goes wrong, we've destroyed our civilization.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think if you're coming to like an English speaking country, the bare minimum is that you learn English. Like that's kind of a thing that pisses me off. People who come to Canada and not know how to speak English. It's like, okay, so you just came to Canada and you're not even going to take the time to learn the language. Like there's exchange students from like Germany that would be like studying English every single day and they're only here for like a semester. But you're coming here to live and you can't even learn English. Like that for me is kind of like where I get pissed. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, many people who come into these countries, Western countries, actually don't have respect for us. We shouldn't assume that all immigrants want to come here and peacefully assimilate. Many are just looking for economic opportunity. They literally are looking to take what's ours. And people don't like thinking in those terms, but that's the reality on the ground. There are whole areas, neighborhoods that are totally run by Muslims in Europe, and they only hire Muslims, they only speak Arabic, they keep their religious traditions. They basically enforce Sharia law in sections of downtown cities in Europe. And that to me is insane. Like that's an invading force. That's not peaceful assimilation.
Yeah, like I have no problem with Muslims and stuff, but like you can't just like come to a culture that doesn't believe in that and like try to like force that. And that goes for any religion, of course. But I mean, there's so many Muslim countries where you could have the call to prayer, you could like pray in the streets, and that's fine. But like coming to somewhere like Europe or like Canada or something, it's like, well, okay, this is Europe and Canada now. Like you don't necessarily do that here. So I definitely agree with you in that, and it definitely is kind of an issue for sure. I was curious
Mhm.
though, like where did you kind of get your main beliefs from? Like, was there an event that kind of like you could say radicalized you in a sense? Like, how did you kind of like come to your main beliefs nowadays?
Honestly, it was looking at the statistics
Mhm.
the crime statistics, I started realizing like there are real substantive differences between the behavior of these different groups. And I did see it, I was in the army, I went to basic training, and I noticed like all the black soldiers were hanging out together and like they were causing problems. They were constantly not towing the line in a timely manner. We would have to do push-ups collectively because they could not stop talking. It's like they were the issue. Like it was just unambiguous. And growing up in Southern California, I saw very clearly that many of the Mexicans in that area had a super strong sense of their Mexican identity. They had Mexican pride. They waved Mexican flags. Many of them were part of La Raza, which means the race, and their goal is to reconquer the American Southwest for Mexico. It's like
Yeah.
it's sort of inescapable. So I experienced all that, but at the same time, I was raised in a liberal environment and was basically indoctrinated not to think in these terms.
Yeah.
So when I finally did look like dispassionately, scientifically, when I was extremely online in my early 20s, then I saw all the data that just like I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I knew that the scientific position is that there are meaningful differences and society should be aware of those differences.
Yeah, I'm curious too. What did you think about the whole Black Lives Matter thing? Because that was like we had COVID lockdowns, like you can't go outside for like a year, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you could go outside, you could go riot, loot, burn. There's no problem with that. I thought that was insane, like the double standard there. And obviously, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm like a racist person, but that was like objectively looking at that, that's a double standard. Objectively, like everybody
Mhm.
else is locked down, but there's no issue if you want to go and like steal shoes and stuff. Like I thought that was crazy, but like that was kind of the thing I think radicalized a lot of people to go too far to the other extreme, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
curious what you think.
Sure. Yeah, that was to me obviously social engineering. There
Yeah,
were very wealthy people pushing that movement, organizing that movement, in some cases providing pallets of bricks that would be used to destroy businesses.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it woke a lot of people up. It had the opposite of their intended effect, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that was definitely a huge like pivotal thing. And I think that did like radicalize people too far to the extreme because I think that there is like a middle ground. Like you see some people are like Gypsy Crusader, like doing the Heil Hitler and stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people went too far to the extreme, but I don't know. Like, would you say that you're in that camp of like people that would like say like the Nazis weren't that bad, or would you say like you're more like kind of middle ground? Because there are some extreme people like on the far
Yeah,
right.
I don't think that much about World War II. I don't care that much about it.
Yeah,
I tend to believe that our perspectives on history, especially recent history, will be skewed through wartime propaganda, and probably World War II
yeah,
is no exception. I
yeah,
think the Americans did really terrible things. I think the British did terrible things. The Soviets, everyone did terrible things. So I I'm suspicious of the narrative that like Hitler was the most evil person who ever existed. I don't know. Stalin was pretty bad. Mao was pretty bad. There are a lot of evil people. Um, I don't know about it. I don't pretend to be an expert on it,
yeah,
but I don't like how the narrative has been used. Like now, the Holocaust is sort of the central religious significant event in our
yeah,
collective consciousness. Like if you that is the one thing, if you question that, if you
yeah,
cast any doubt on it,
yeah,
automatically nothing else you say matters. In many
yeah.
countries it's illegal to question it.
Yeah, it
So I
is in
don't think
Canada
any
where I live.
historical oh yeah, that's insane to me. So I don't think any historical event should be dogmatic like that,
Yeah,
like revising history and considering the evidence, being open to the possibility that your interpretation of history has been wrong. That just seems like the reasonable thing to do.
yeah. No, it's insane, and that's like a breach on free speech too. Like, are you not allowed to go back and look at something and ask questions? And if you ask questions, that's illegal. I don't know. Canada has a lot of stuff like that. Like, if you spoke out against the COVID mandates, and if you didn't get the vaccine, you go to like you
Mhm.
can't travel, you can't go to restaurants. Like, I don't know. Like, Canada's very cooked, and it's not just Canada; it's now kind of spreading across the world. But yeah, we got people here though asking, ask if you think the problem with black people is genetic or culture.
The problem. I
That's a
mean,
weirdly phrased question, but
I'm not saying they are a problem.
yeah,
They do have higher rates of criminality, and I think that's probably because they have different hormone levels. Like black men and women have higher testosterone on average than
really.
white men and women Yeah, that's like biologically known.
Mm.
Doctors know this stuff because they have to bear that in mind when they're treating different patients. So, and then the other thing is that there are different average IQs between the races, and sub-Saharan Africans have average IQs sometimes in the 80s or sometimes in the 70s. Black Americans, I think it's like 85 on average. That's measured. So that's not really a disputable fact. People can argue about the interpretation, say IQ is not capturing everything. Probably, but it's capturing something. That is a real difference. Whatever the cause, whatever's going on with it, there are measurable differences, and they're replicated across all sorts of different countries too. It's not like it's specific to the American social experience. And when
Yeah.
you control for those other factors like income and education attainment, still those discrepancies persist.
Like, do you think it's better though to try like help this community and try to like have like empathy and compassion, like try to like kind of guide them, or do you think it's better to just like split off and be like, okay, you guys are a parasite on society. We're gonna go do our own thing with our own cultures. Like, what do you think is like the better approach? Because I personally think like we should have empathy, and I think we should all try to like thrive together as humans. But obviously, a lot of people be like, "Oh, that's gay, that's liberal, that's soy boy." Like you're talking like a liberal when I say that. But I think that like I don't know. I believe in the good of humans still, and I think we could all get together. But I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I think the good of humans is obtained in communities that celebrate our distinct heritage and identity and attributes. Like Black people are different from white people. I think everyone sees that, everyone accepts that in their day to day life. We're different. So, what is good for a Black person in terms of how society can suit their needs is different. Our ancestral societies were different. Our marital practices were different across the board. Our values were different. So, with all of those differences, why should we expect that one social paradigm can just be mapped onto everyone equally? You necessarily, even if there weren't IQ discrepancies, one paradigm will be biased towards one group that came up with it. Well,
Mm.
we came up with this legal framework. Obviously, Black people will tend not to do quite as well in a framework that we came up with that was ours. I think they should be emboldened to have their own self-government.
Mm. See, when you put it like that, it makes a lot more sense. When you put it like that, you want everybody to thrive basically under the rules that like fit them the best. You want
Right.
everybody playing like their own ball game pretty much in a way that they're set up to succeed. Yeah, because like that one size fits all never works. Same with school. Like you get a whole bunch of like kids with different beliefs, different values, teach them the same shit. It's like that one size fits all. Yeah, when you put it like that, it gives me a lot to think about for sure. I definitely I'd say that's pretty logical what you just said.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, obviously. What would you say is like the biggest issue in your opinion currently with society?
Man, there's a lot to choose from. Uh like in America or the West broadly or what?
Yeah, we'll just say like the West for now.
I think it's a crisis of identity first and foremost. I do think that our governments have been subverted to corporate and foreign interests, but I think that's symptomatic of our loss of self respect for who we are and where we come from.
Mhm.
I think if we took pride in our heritage and studied our heritage and understood who we were or are, then we would think twice before we allow, Israeli money to totally dominate US politics and get us into all these wars on their behalf and other things that they have pushed in cultural terms as well. Like they pushed the Hart-Celler Act that led to this mass immigration from non-white countries, they being, the Jewish community more broadly. But
Yeah.
uh, I think it is a crisis of identity, and everyone deserves self-respect and dignity about who they are and where they come from.
Of course. So would you say it's like the Jewish people broadly that are like pushing everybody intermingling? Like would you say that they're the ones pulling the strings on that?
They're a big driver. There's also technology, though. This is pretty well studied in migration dynamics through history. Like historians have to kind of tally the statistics on wealth disparities between societies and like why did Germans move into the Roman Empire and this sort of stuff. And it's
Yeah.
always the case that when you have wealthier societies and less wealthy societies next to each other, there's net migration from the less wealthy to the more wealthy.
Yeah.
And what technology has done is allowed, basically, we're all now neighbors, right? It's a global
Mhm.
village. Anyone from anywhere can show up in New York tomorrow if they want to.
Yeah.
So you're going to see, just based on that, a desire to move to the West, to move to East Asia. But
Yeah.
you've seen that in East Asia, they have not accepted large numbers of immigrants from foreign cultures because they still had a sense of their common identity and their governments were not subverted by foreign interests.
Yeah.
So it's not inevitable. It's a combination of these technological factors. And then the fact that, yes, foreign interests and corporate interests, which obviously corporations also want a bunch of labor to come in because that undercuts the value of labor and they can lower wages.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
those two things.
Yeah, I've seen people come to Canada too and like burn the Canadian flag, rip the Canadian flag, like some Free Palestine protesters, which obviously I agree with Free Palestine, but some of them like they've like burned the Canadian flag. I'm like, okay, so you come to Canada and you're protesting for your country and you're burning the flag of our country. Like, I want to support the Free Palestine movement, and I do support the Free Palestine movement, but they make it very hard to get new supporters when they're doing stuff like that, and like burning the flags and kind of like being disrespectful to the country that they're in. Like, how are you going to get new people that are Canadian to support you if you're burning the Canadian flag? I think that's really stupid. And obviously, Free Palestine, what happened there is atrocious, but their approach when they do that is really, really dumb, in my opinion. You know?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They're strange bedfellows. You do see this natural coalition that should exist between white leftists and, free Palestine folks and others who are against the genocide in Gaza. It's like
Yeah.
any sensible, humane, like all of us should unite in condemning that.
Yeah.
But it's not really a stable coalition because they're just another example where you have too much difference and you try to all work together in one framework, there are going to be fractures. So let them protest as they like. If they're burning the Canadian flag, they should get out of Canada. That's my position.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But also we can still support Free Palestine.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody says here, that's a good question. Ask him how he thinks the Jews benefit from pushing what he's talking about. Yeah, do you think that they do like benefit? Like, why do you think they would like push like people to intermingle and stuff like that? What do you think's the reason for that?
Well, because they were singled out as a foreign element in society many times, right? They've been living in Europe since the medieval period, like even Northern Europe. So people saw them as racially other. That was
Mm.
conspicuous back then. And in order to not be regarded as other and to have like an equal say in the governments in those countries, if they're living in Poland, they're living in Germany naturally, and they've been there for generations, they're going to want to influence those states. But if there is a supermajority German culture that views them as other from a different civilization, a different value system, then you're not going to have as easy a time getting into those influential positions.
Yeah.
So it behooves a foreign minority to break down majoritarian sentiments in the average population. So that's what's happened. I
Yeah.
think it is directly in their interest, and that's what's happened.
Yeah. I also saw as well on Twitter that you kind of had a bit of a falling out with Nick Fuentes. And I saw your podcast that you do with Nick, and I thought that you guys were kind of like closer. But maybe if you want to talk about that a little, I don't know how deep you want to go in that, but maybe if you want to touch
I
on
mean,
that.
I don't want to add to it at all. I don't understand it, really, because all that I did was DM him. This clip was going around where he seemed to, just by like word for word what he said, the sentence he said implied that he supported birthright citizenship. But in a broader I didn't watch the whole episode. I don't have time to watch all 3-hour episodes all the time that he puts out. So I wanted to defend him though, because people were challenging him on that. And I was like, this must be a misunderstanding. I know his positions have not really changed. People projected onto Nick that he was more of a like hardcore white nationalist or white identitarian than he is. He's always, for years, said, America first is for everyone in America. It is nativism, but it's just whoever is here. It is civic nationalism. That's what it is. Plus, we should embrace that there is a dominant normative white culture. That's where we come from. They should always have some kind of privileged place in our society. Although I don't think he endorses like explicit legal benefits for being white, not like a two-tier justice system or something, or first and second class citizens. So he is basically a civic nationalist. Plus, he talks in a positive way about white people and does want to break down that anti-white sentiment. So it's a lot softer. It's a lot closer to the mainstream than most people have interpreted him to be. So anyway, I knew that, but before I went and defended, saying he has not really changed his stance, I did want clarification to see, like, okay, are you actually for birthright citizenship now? In the past, he's not been, but he's a Catholic, and Catholic social teaching, it's not a dogma that you should have birthright citizenship, but other, basically dogmatically held social teachings imply that you should not break up families. So if someone was born here, they're 30, they're 40, they have a family here, they're in our society, there is no way the Catholic Church would ever endorse sending those people back. And the average American would also view that as inhumane. Most people would, want to keep people who have been here a certain length of time. And I think that's probably Nick's position as well. He would probably say that we should get rid of the concept of birthright citizenship. We should change the law. But I don't think that he would actually want to deport, illegals, or sorry, rather, he wouldn't want to deport citizens who were born to illegally. So anyway, I think he's not as far away from birthright citizenship as he even is saying. That's why I wanted clarification. I think he's kind of equivocating here, but I wanted to ask so that I could, in good faith, defend him. I didn't know exactly what he believed. But because a lot of other people were attacking him publicly at that time and piling on, I think in his mind, I was just lumped in with these other people who were attacking him. And I had drama from my past come up, and journalists were attacking me. And Nick DM'd me, saying like, hey, I got your back. Don't worry about it. Like, I know you're a good guy, whatever. And that was nice to hear, sure. But also, it's not a directly equivalent situation. In that case, I had denounced my former behavior, that was going around. I said I regretted it. I wasn't Christian then, etc. And so it was pretty clear where I currently stood. And so, that, all right, nice that he said something. In this case, I didn't know where he currently stood. So I wanted to understand where he stood before I went and defended him. So anyway, I think that really offended him. Nick is really big about loyalty, where your allies, you just have their back no matter what.
Yeah.
And I was willing to have his back, but I guess I'm not as much of a political mind. I'm a little bit more like truth seeking. I was brought into all this because of statistics. I like science, I like philosophy and stuff. So I seek the truth, and I try to not say things that I don't believe. And so I can't really have this kind of loyalty first position where if someone's on my side, I invariably just say good things about them and support them no matter what, because my friends sometimes make mistakes. And then at other points in time, I've criticized elements of Nick's stated strategy, like what he's trying to do with his movement, because I have differences of opinion and I just state my opinions. And Nick will basically tolerate no counter signaling. That's what he would call it. I would just say we have different opinions and we can talk about it like men. I don't like these status games. I think he wants to be treated very deferentially because of the following that he's built up. And I'm not like that. Like I'm not Catholic. I'm not going to kiss the ring of the Pope. I'm not going to be that way. That's not who I am.
Yeah, a lot of people that used to be friends with him say, like, if you say anything negative about him, like, he's like, you get on his bad side. Like, he's kind of like fragile, I guess, in that way. Like, he's even been mad at me before. I've tried to like call him out to like debate certain people, and like he was pissed at me. Like, I don't know, I super chatted in one time, and he's like, "Yeah, you're trying to clout chase and try to get this debate." But I'm like, "No, a lot of people are asking for this debate. I asked you to set it up. I didn't really call you out," but he's like still mad at me for that. So I think he does
Yeah.
hold like a lot of grudges, which I mean, I think he has a lot of good stuff. Like, I'm not trying to hate on him or anything, but he definitely does hold grudges for sure.
And that's the motive he attributed to me as well. He said, I'm jealous of his success, and that, like, I'm saying what I'm saying. First of
Mhm.
all, it's just a DM. I just asked you a question. I didn't
Yeah.
go and attack you publicly. Calm down. But also, like, yeah, it's the fact that I wanted clarity, or even the fact that I criticized him. Maybe it's just because I believe what I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like I'm jealous of him, or I want
Mhm.
to take his clout, or that I'm ankle biting. It's very, very status obsessed, like winning and being on top and being wealthy and all of that. That's number one in his mind, I
Yeah.
think. And so it's a little disconcerting. And now that he is basically, so what he said, he threw me under the bus and said, no one should ever support me again. None of his followers should ever support me.
Really?
Complete disavowal over a DM,
Whoa.
asking for clarification in order to support him. It's not like I was saying, I'm going to attack you, but first, what do you think? It's like, so it's very bizarre. Now that that has happened, like I've been disavowed, I can say, like, I'm concerned if that guy is put in a position of authority, is he trustworthy? He's not had integrity in that he has supported allies who have done bad things, like the Ali Akbar situation, if you're
Mm,
familiar with that.
I think so.
Uh, yeah, I mean, the guy was soliciting minors,
Right.
no question,
Yeah.
abusing minors, and
Yeah.
he had this guy's back because loyalty first. Um, and yeah, so like, is he going to all this? And also, he's not done anything explicitly pro-white in terms of building like pro-white institutions or like donating money to pro-white causes. Not that I want his money. I'm just saying he has not done that. So if he's ever in power, why should I believe that suddenly he's going to be consistent on principle and reach out and help ordinary white people when every step of the way, when possible, he's made the compromise to get ahead? I think first he is power seeking. And so it's hard for me to trust someone like that.
So do you think he makes a good leader? Like, do you think he's the guy to like represent this kind of like movement that you guys got going? Like, would you say that Nick Fuentes is the guy and should be the face of it, or do you not believe so?
Well, the face of what? Like America First,
Yeah.
I think a multiracial coalition that is against foreign influence is something that should happen in the US. And, Nick is positioned to lead something like that, but he's also too young to be president. So he can't run in 28. He wouldn't win if he did, also. There's just not that much support. A lot of people hate him as well. And the
Yeah.
demographics, like by the time he's in a position, I have very strong doubts that the Gropers will stay in power as well. Under a Republican administration, they can make up White House staff, but they're probably known to the intel agencies. Like the list of who are the Gropers in Washington is facts. Like they absolutely have that information. So when the Democrats get in, what's going to happen? All those people will be blacklisted. So I'm pessimistic, I guess, if I want them to succeed, which I guess I do. Like I'd rather have them than the Democrats, I suppose.
Mm.
But also, like at this point, I'd almost rather have a lukewarm, moderate Republican who's just going to be boring and predictable. And like if we bomb Iran again, well, that sucks. I don't want to do that. But also, we won't have some kind of tyrannical personality who's unpredictable and a little bit petty in power either. So
Mm.
it's like I do have serious reservations about wanting him to be in a position of authority where he can make decisions, because I've seen his decision making and that he is just too emotional. That's
Mm.
my uh, again, I like philosophy. I'm kind of a Platonist. I think the people who lead should be led themselves by reason above
Yeah.
all. So if
Yeah.
you're constantly subject to emotions, I makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I just think that's kind of weird that you go off on you like that. And like, did that hurt your movement? Like, did you notice yourself like losing money, losing followers when he disavowed you, or no?
Well, it's pretty recent, so really it remains to be seen. The last few posts have tracked pretty much where I was anyway.
Mhm.
Because, as I said, I have criticized his positions in the past. So I think the Groypers in general were already suspicious of me and were not my hardline supporters. So they weren't liking all my posts, they weren't sharing. They followed me, but the worst, I guess, that would happen is I got, some people unfollowed. I don't care. Like all the Groypers, go ahead and unfollow me. I don't care. You don't have to see my stuff. I'm doing my own thing. You can do your thing. But no, as far as like it's tracking pretty much where it was already.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Somebody asked here, ask about Zoran Mondami and if he thinks he's cool. Yeah. What do you think about Zoran Mondami? He just won in New York. A lot of people are saying that's going to ruin New York. I think he's getting a lot of pushback just because he's like a Muslim. I don't necessarily know if it's because he's bad, but like, what's your thoughts on Mondami?
Well, he's pretty explicitly anti-white in that
Really?
he thanked all these different ethnic groups. I've seen very little about it. So,
Yeah.
from what little I have seen, he thanked in his acceptance speech all these different ethnic groups, and he did not mention, white people who also voted for him. A lot of white liberals did. And he had policies like he wanted to effectively, intentionally redistribute money from more white neighborhoods to less white neighborhoods, not on an income basis, but like on a racial basis, like just explicit racial redistribution, which obviously I'm against. So I don't like those things. I've not looked too much further into it. I think it probably is a bad thing for New York in that New York is our largest metropolitan area in terms of population. It's kind of symbolic of the country. And so to have someone who is not of our heritage stock, who is seemingly explicitly anti white, he would probably say anti racist. I would just say he's anti white and that he's never said anything positive about whites. He wants to redistribute money from whites to non whites, probably believes in white supremacy narratives and systemic racism and all of that, which I think there's probably some level of truth to it in that, like, yeah, America was founded by white people for white people, just like China was founded by Chinese people for Chinese people. Every country is that way. So, in that sense, like, were we a white supremacist society? Yeah, but every country is that for their own people.
Yeah.
And we were a white society at one point. So, that's true. I don't think there continues to be systemic racism against non-whites. I think the opposite is the case. I think affirmative action and various policies have made it harder for white people.
Yeah.
Of course, we still have that inherited wealth, and we still do relatively well in education and employment. So
Yeah.
it's not like we're suffering so bad for it. But no,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't think it's symbolically good. The silver lining for me is that he probably will do a terrible job as mayor because it's a really hard job, and
Right.
it makes a huge difference. Like a good mayor in New York City means clean streets and lower crime, and everyone sees that. So how good of a job you do is conspicuous.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting things are going to go to hell in that city. Probably a good time, not now, but like in a year or two, to buy real estate in New York.
Yeah, I think Mamdani won mainly because he was like anti-Israel and pro-Palestine. Obviously, a lot of people are, but I think there's like a photo the night that he won. There's like a photo of him like shaking like a rabbi's hand or something. So people are saying like he already switched, like he already switched up on the reason that
Oh yeah,
people are voting for him. But I
I
mean,
have
what
no
do you?
doubt, but
Yeah, I mean, do you
I'm
think
not
that that's
sure.
good though? At least he's like pro-Palestine, like anti like Israel. Like, do you think that that's like enough to like want to vote him in, or do you think that's not a like a big enough positive?
It's if he was going to be like the Secretary of State or an ambassador, then
Mhm.
that would be good enough because that's relevant for those roles. I
Yeah.
don't care that much that the mayor of New York City is anti-Israel. Like,
Yeah.
what does that matter?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. We have like one question here. This guy's like, it looks like he's counter signaling you a bit. It says Aarvoll's question wasn't innocent, it was uninformed. He obviously didn't get the point. Aarvoll reminds me of Jay Dyer trying to attach himself to Nick coattails for views. I don't know. A lot of people are very diehard Nick, where if you say anything against him, they hate you.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know if you want to
yeah.
address that comment or not.
Like you God, it wasn't innocent. it was just uninformed and ignorant. It's like, but isn't like if I was just ignorant, is it like, am I guilty for being ignorant? If a child doesn't know something and he asks because he's ignorant.
Yeah.
But so why does that make me? I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, no, some people, I mean, Nick does have like the pledge, like, I will kill, rape, and die for Nick Fuentes. I don't know if you've seen him do
Yeah.
that. A lot of people take that shit to heart. You say anything against Nick, and you're like enemy number one. And I don't even mind Nick that much. I don't. But I've said things, I've counter signaled him before, and the Gropers like hate me. Like, I'm very, very hated by the Gropers, which I mean, like, why would you live your life trying to be on the side of the Gropers? Like, you got to be like, no free thought. Like, it's literally a cult. It's absolutely a cult.
It's a personality cult. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I got one final question. I don't want to hold you here for too long, but it is if you were in charge right now, president of the USA, what changes would you instantly make to like make society better?
Hmm. I'm all for more power to the local communities. So I
Mhm.
would definitely clarify freedom of association and enshrine that explicitly in law somehow or other. Um, so, like right now, the problem is we have freedom of association as individuals, but we don't recognize like the rights of groups, of communities. So things like this, things like I would honestly, yeah, as president, I would still support like the Muslim community in Texas, the
Mhm.
Hindu temple that's being built in where is it, North Carolina right now. I think we have all these people here. If they're here legally, it would be immoral to deport all of them. Like they were invited into the country,
Mhm.
and you can't just kick people out like that. I would absolutely go really hard on illegal immigrants,
Right.
100%.
Mhm.
I would build a border wall. I would do a lot of the nationalist stuff that people would like, but a lot of the more hardcore nationalists would not like that I would tolerate different groups being allowed to stay and being allowed their own rights. In general, yeah, I'm more like on the libertarian side in terms of how I would govern.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like pork barrel spending, grifting, or graft rather, and inefficiency in like I know how the military's run. Like there are too many employees, too many administrators. I would probably kind of ruthlessly when on those essential functions, I would ruthlessly cut jobs and have AI replace a lot of those jobs.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Economically, I think certain industries we do need to subsidize and boost. I would probably do what I could to get rid of foreign influence. That's kind of first and foremost. If possible, I would make lobbying effectively illegal. Now, that's tough because it's considered a First Amendment issue. But however I could reduce corporate influence, foreign influence, I would. I would probably I have a lot of policies, I guess. I would institute like testing for voting, like the same test at least that people have to take to become citizens. You have to pass that test to vote. All right,
Yeah.
show that you have basic civics knowledge. So some of those policies, probably a lot more, but the main thing I would want to clarify that communities have the right to do what they want in their own communities in terms of education. I think we should be giving like education funds, not just to public schools, private schools, charter schools, but also homeschooling co-ops. Like those people are educating the next generation as well. They should be entitled to those same public funds. Why do you forego that? And yet you're still paying into it if you choose to homeschool.
Yeah, and, like, help out, like, Black communities too, and, like, communities that are, like,
Yes.
struggling, like, give a helping hand,
Yes.
yeah. I like that. I don't
Totally.
think you're racist. I think a lot of people, like, think that you're racist, but after talking to you, like, obviously that word has no meaning, but I don't think that you actually, like, hate people because 'cause their skin color. I think, like, you're more, like, logical and you think that, like, you want everybody to thrive in their own, like, respective ways. I agree, honestly. So,
Well, cool. Yeah, good.
alright, my
Glad to
my
hear that.
screen just shut off, it just went black. Can you still see me or no?
I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll wrap it here. Eric, this has been a very good podcast. Where can the people find you if they want to go and like follow you and support your work?
Sure. I'm on X at Aarvoll, AARVOLL _ on YouTube at Eric Orwell. YouTube is more like anthropology, philosophy. The X is more politics.
Okay. Got you. All right. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tyson. Good
All right.
talk.
Take care. God bless. All right, guys. I really enjoyed that interview. I think that's Eric's a really good guy. Do I maybe like agree with everything? Maybe not everything, but I honestly agree with him on a lot more than I thought I would. And I like about him, he's not like a radical. Like he's not like one of those like gypsy crusader guys that are like just actually like hate other people. Like he's not like, doing that and stuff. Like he doesn't actually like hate other people. He just wants everybody to succeed in a way that like is suitable. Like he wants black people to succeed in a way that like black people best succeed. He wants white people to succeed in a way that white people best succeed. And I don't know. I think that's good. I think that's good. Good show. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Good interview. Thank you. Thank you guys. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna make clips of this, share it on Twitter and stuff. So you guys will probably see that. Follow me, by the way, on Twitter if you're not already. Tyson Hockley on Twitter, same thing as here. Also Instagram, just Tyson Hockley everywhere. Come follow, check it out. But yeah, God bless you guys. Appreciate you all for watching. I hope that you guys all have a great rest of your day. And yeah.